Alrighty, hey everyone. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Welcome back. There's a lot of news going on right now. As if you guys are on Twitter, you guys already know this. But before we dive in there, let's just give Loki a treat because there has to be a little bit of happiness today, right? Yep. And there he goes, taking the treat and chomping on it. Good boy. He'll even get an extra treat because I haven't had treats for him over the last few days. So one more, Loki. Oh, if he wants it. Uh-oh. Yeah. Into the camera. Okay, good boy. Yeah. All right. So again, welcome back, everybody. Let's just kind of start off with the big news of the day. It's not even really crypto related, but conservative activist Charlie Kirk was killed in Utah Valley University in a shooting here. The video is on X. If you guys wanted to watch that video, you guys can. It is extremely graphic, so I'd really warn you guys against like, if you're not ready for that type of stuff, don't watch it. I looked at it. If I were to play it for you guys on YouTube, my account would be shut down in a few minutes. That's how graphic the crime is. So just let you guys know, conservative activist Charlie Kirk was killed today with a gunshot. They have somebody in custody. If you guys want to learn more about that, go over to X. They have a lot of information there. And there was just a press conference not 5-6 minutes ago, okay? Now, moving on from that really dark thing to what was overall a very good day for the cryptocurrency markets, we saw inflation data come out today, one of two, because tomorrow we have another inflation data coming out. We had PPI data come out, okay? So this CNBC article talks about the 5 takeaways from the producer price inflation report with another key reading on tap, right? Another one coming up pretty soon. And it was just very good news. I mean, I was surprised how good the inflation number was. And to me, that actually makes it feel like, damn, the economy is really not doing as well as the Fed thought it was. The Fed is kind of wrong on this issue again. And that's concerning because you don't want them to be like wrong over and over and over again. That does not lead to a lot of confidence coming from the Fed. I will say the good news is that Jerome Powell is going to be out next year, and we're probably going to have a new perspective. I'm not saying a cut type of perspective or a hold type of perspective, but a perspective of how to understand how the economy is running and being able to make those types of changes as needed. Because Jerome Powell has been, again, I haven't been around for a long time, but he's probably one of the worst Fed guys I've seen in a minute, right? Only because he is very data dependent, but he can't look back past the data and understand, well, this data might be wrong. Let me check out some of this private data or this data. He's really focused on a certain set of data, and it hasn't really been working out for him a number of times, as you guys might imagine, right? But let's dive into the story a little bit. So for the third time this year, the PPI showed outright deflation. We're going down. We're not even going up. We're going down, right? Wall Street economists had been looking for a 0.3% increase. The core PPI, which strips out food and energy, also fell 0.01, though core minus trade services actually rose 0.3. Again, you got to take out food, energy, and trade services to get inflation going up. I'm okay with that right now. And on top of it, it was only 0.3. That is actually a very good number right there, right? So Fed officials look not only at headline numbers, but also the underlying drivers. The PPI report provided good news on inflational fundamentals. The services sector, which drives some 80% of GDP, saw outright deflation. Remember, we're a services economy. That's why you see a lot of people working in offices and not necessarily building chairs, building cars, and stuff like that. The majority of that type of stuff is done outside the country. We're a services economy. It's a completely different thing, which is overall pretty good because I'd rather be in an office with a cubicle than, working hard and sweating and all that type of stuff. Although we'd have all of that across the country. But the majority of our GDP is that services sector right there. Now, even goods prices, which are much more heavily impacted by tariffs, rose just 0.1%. That is insane. That means all those tariffs that got worked out over the past few months, they haven't been getting higher. And you guys have already been knowing this. There's a trade deal over here, trade deal over here, trade deal over here. All of a sudden, okay, so we're stuck at 15% tariffs. Now that we know that, everybody can start to adapt. And that's what you're really seeing right now without a lot of those costs getting moved over to the consumer, which is actually pretty interesting because what's happening here is during this process, you can imagine 4 different people being part of a process, right? You have the person that sells the good to America. You got the person that buys the good in America, right? So let's say the company that buys the good, right? Then on top of that, you're going to have the consumer and what's happening there, right? And there's a few other moving parts. But for now, actually, probably let's stick with those three: the person that sells it into the States, the person buying it in the States, and the person buying it from the corporation that bought it from outside the country, right? So what's happening is the person that's making it is eating some of the costs. They're making less money, less margins. The company that's buying it over from, like, let's say Greece or Europe or Asia, whatever, they're taking some of the profit, but they're kind of terrified to put that price onto the consumer because they already know the consumer's strained. Where you could say that inflation is going up is for things like luxury goods, where those people can afford the higher cost. But if you're selling your goods at a Goodwill, not even a Goodwill, let's say a Dollar General or a dollar store, you're going to find it very hard to make that good that costs $1, right? You're going to find it very hard to make that good go to $1.15 or $1.30 because they've already been doing that. It's just going to be a little bit more of a challenge, you could say, right? So there's an issue happening right there where the consumer's okay, but the consumers being prioritized are the ones that literally just don't have any money. But again, if they're not raising prices, that means inflation isn't going up. They will raise prices, but they're going to do it when everything calms down, whenever the economy really gets humming again. Because right now, over the last 2-3 years, it really just has not been a great economy that people like hope it would be, right? So here's also something that's important. We talked about this at the beginning of the stream here, but we do have CPI data coming out tomorrow. This is going to be a very crazy day, and I'm hoping that it'll also be better than expected because we had some good PPI data coming out. So let me just read this very fast and kind of give you my thoughts about it. Tomorrow's CPI will carry more weight, but today's PPI print essentially rolled out the red carpet for a Fed rate cut next week. After last week's jobs report, though, the market was already expecting the Fed to begin an easing cycle, so it remains to be seen how much of a near-term impact this will have on sentiment. And what you saw today overall, which was very interesting, and I'll just show this to you guys with Bitcoin here. Let's go over to maybe the 5-minute chart for Bitcoin. You saw Bitcoin skyrocket for a little bit, not even skyrocket, but have a nice move. But then you saw a pretty generous retreat. And depending on which token you're looking at, it was a very generous retreat. Now, Bitcoin's going back higher. People feel more optimistic, right? There was some news about Charlie Kirk also happening around this time. But Ethereum, look at that. Ethereum bounced up off the good news of PPI, came all the way back down. People understand that, hey, this PPI news is great, but it is not as important as the CPI data we're going to be having tomorrow. So I really want you guys to be aware of what's happening here, make your trades off of that CPI data, and then we can really get excited about what happens, especially if we have good low inflation tomorrow. Oh boy, that's going to make things very, very good. But on top of that, we want to see jobs numbers pick up a little bit more because we're in a little bit of a scary part as far as the jobs market. When jobs start to get bad, they get bad fast, which is why Jerome Powell should be cutting sooner, because I think that a lot of people out there, they assume that rate cuts hit the economy directly and very quickly. That's not the way it works. Remember, when you raise rates or lower them, it takes months to hit the overall economy. It takes months. So when they're playing slow ball and they're dragging their feet, that itself has consequences, which is why everybody was like, hey, start cutting now, start cutting now. You don't got to cut every month. You don't have to cut every quarter, but you need to start cutting because the economy is not good. The disconnect was that Jerome Powell thought the economy was doing very, very well, but it turns out it wasn't. Again, this is why you have to look at the data. Remember, this is why when we talk about jobs, we talk about the government jobs when the numbers come out, but this is why I also talk about the ADP numbers, because the ADP numbers is more of a private company doing its own jobs report, and sometimes private companies can be more efficient and more accurate than the government sector, which we know to be true quite a bit in society, right? So again, that's kind of the stuff going on here. And this is something that, I mean, we already know, but you can see this is a good thing here. The worst case scenario on inflation isn't playing out. This is what every person out there with a hedge fund buying everything, they're looking at this and, okay, everybody said it was going to be a disaster. So far, it's okay. Now, it's not good. It's not great. It's just okay. And we've been in okay for a minute. So while we're being okay, all-time high, stuff like that, but we're just starting to uh-oh, inflation went up a little bit. Not too bad. Okay, we can live with that. Uh-oh, jobs are going down, but will it get worse? Looks like it may get worse, unfortunately, for some people out there, right? The Doves will be happy to see this year-over-year number back below 3%. Combined with the weak jobs data recently, this keeps us on track for rate cuts. However, the speed and intensity might depend on more big consumer index. Depend more on the big consumer index tomorrow morning, right? And this is what we've already been talking about as well. Now, what's interesting about this is if you zoom out on this PPI data, it's not that bad. What they were so concerned about is we went from 2.4% in June and we skyrocketed up towards 3.1%. Not as bad as we were back in March. So again, this is not something that's like an outlier at all, but we came right back down here to 2.6%, which I think is a very good number to have. A very, very good number. So we know inflation isn't getting out of control. We're not seeing some type of crazy trajectory. We're going up higher and higher and higher. But take a look back over here last September, right? We're at 2.1 right here for both of these, and we cut in October, and then after October we went up a little bit higher. So the Fed could be worried about that, and I would say, okay, it's okay to be worried about that. But if you zoom out a little bit more, we've pretty much been kind of iffies ever since like the 2022 inflation skyrocketing thing, you know, transitory, all that crap, right? But we've just been going sideways for a while, and I think that's okay. You can see we've been making higher highs year over year for the most part. January 2025, 3.8. What was it? Well, that's June. What was January over here? January over here was just 1%. Over here was 0.3%, right? So we're not in some type of disaster mode with inflation. It's okay, right? Go back 10 years, 2.6. There was plenty of 2.6s, 3s over here, and the economy was humming just fine. That was like Trump's last administration, of course, before COVID, and that took a downward turn, right? But nothing is crazy right now. Now, this is the CPI report. Last month we had 2.7. The time before that, 2.7. Before that, 2.4. We haven't seen anything crazy. And again, nobody was really freaking out last December and in January here when inflation hit 2.9% and 3%, and we didn't have tariffs back there. We just naturally hit that because we were cutting rates a little bit. What's interesting about this one right here is we saw that during December, because inflation spiked back up just a little bit, the Fed really got concerned and said, okay, no more rate cuts. And then you saw that nasty pullback on Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other tokens. Go back over here to the dailies, where back in December, they're like, yeah, we're no more rate cuts, right? And we dove back down, came back up, still no more rate cuts. Okay, now we have to give it a longer break. So we may see a nice little pop going in here to October and November. But if Jerome Powell gets cold feet and he doesn't protect the jobs market and he focuses more on inflation, you may see Bitcoin go back and do something nasty like this. And, you know, we already know this. We've talked about this at length, and it's one of the reasons I've really just not liked this bull market overall. We have had some long consolidations this cycle, where last time we were just like going up towards the moon and everything was just great. Consolidation for months, consolidation for a month or two, consolidation for months, right? And we haven't even had the big move just yet, right? So give it some time. I'm still holding everything. We'll be going over my portfolios and everything in a little bit as well, but you know, we're not in a bad spot here. The Fed, I think, is just playing a little bit of politics, and also just very fearful of what tariffs could do, but using maybe dated models and metrics that we just don't really pay attention to much anymore. Because what usually helps us out of high inflation, right? We could spend less, or we can just increase our productivity. And if you guys have been using AI or have friends that use AI or have been reading up on AI in magazines, academic articles, whatever, you have seen that there are certain sectors that are becoming much more productive because AI is doing all of the work. That means that work you can charge a little bit less, right? So if I'm making something with AI and it costs me 50 cents to make, right? And this other guy's doing it without AI and he's cost him $2 to make, right? I can undercut his cost, right? And therefore prices just won't go higher and higher because he can't keep on raising his prices because I myself am making the same product at cheaper price so I can keep my price where it is. Now, me being the savvy businessman I am, I wouldn't be undercutting him by 50% or 70%. I might undercut him by 10%, 15%. But I would still have great margins, and that guy would suffer, and I would take more and more of his business. Then when I become the best, you know, I can raise my prices and make more money. But by then, you don't even know if somebody else is going to undercut you by having a better product, right? So there's so many different ways around this inflation issue, and I think we're doing a good job as a country. This isn't because of Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Jerome Powell or Congress or anything like that. This is because companies themselves are trying to figure out how to become more productive, and where they're seeing success, they are really maximizing their profits and really maximizing their margins, you could say, because things are cheaper. And it doesn't have to be like, I'm making this good. Remember, we're a services economy. This just means person A is more productive, therefore the company as a whole is more productive, which means we can make more money, right? So I do think that's something interesting happening right now, and I believe the Fed hasn't really understood that just yet, because again, the Fed has just been making a few too many mistakes over the last few years, and the fact that all the fear mongering and the scare stuff that they said in April, that really hasn't come to pass. And again, we may see gradual, slow inflation. That's fine. That's not what we were told was going to happen. We were supposed to see skyrocketing inflation. So I'm actually pretty happy with the data we had today. I am going to put a lot more emphasis on the data we have tomorrow. So just be prepared for a lot more of a violence move to happen tomorrow either way. If we have bad inflation tomorrow after having good inflation today, the markets will still move down in a very negative way. So just, again, don't get all happy with all this stuff. Just understand there's some good stuff happening, but we're not out of the woods just yet. And again, there's technical reasons, there's fundamental reasons. We talk about that all the time, and I'll break down the technicals here in a little bit more. Now, as far as the FOMC chances of a rate cut, the CMEC group right here, we still have a 90% chance of having a rate cut. That's 25 basis points on the 17th of September. And right now we have about a 10% chance of having a 50 basis point cut, right? So again, it looks like we have a strong chance of just having a 25 basis point cut. The Fed isn't willing to take that extra step just yet, and that's okay as long as we're starting to make that move. If we go over here to this chart, I'll zoom in just a little bit. It's interesting that they're starting to push different things back up here. There's been some changes for April of next year where maybe we have to increase rates and stuff. So all of a sudden we got all these zeros over here and some twos and some stuff, which is not something we usually see. So I'm just going to focus on right here where we currently are to 425 to 450 and to the left of that, okay? So like I said, actually right now this has been updated a little bit. Now there's a 92% chance we have a 25 basis point cut and an 8% chance we have a 50 basis point cut. Next October, there's a 72% chance we are going to have a cut this October, and there's a 64% chance we're going to have a cut in December. And I would actually add the 5.4 to the 6.4 here. So what I would actually say for a cut in October, there's a good chance we're going to have a 78%, 79% chance of a cut in October, and it looks like we might have a 70% chance of a cut in December, which would be pretty good. That'd be 3 rate cuts for this year. I wouldn't be surprised if the economic jobs data gets a lot worse. We top in at 50 in there somewhere, either in October or December. Now, that's October, December. If there is if there's a need for it, we could always have an emergency meeting in November, but I don't really see something like that happening. So I'm just going to say I'm expecting 3 to 4 rate cuts, but a minimum of 3 now, especially since inflation hasn't been soaring. Come back to me tomorrow and I'll see, is CPI blowing up or something like that? I'm like, that means we still might only have 2 or something like that, which means the Fed may be willing to go into a recession in order to protect inflation, which I wouldn't do, but that's something the Fed says like they're pretty much willing to have that go on here. The only reason they're willing to do it right now is because inflation isn't really going crazy like they said it was going to do, and they're not admitting they were wrong. They're just changing their thesis, so we'll see. Now, moving on to a few other things here as far as news. I was looking at this article today. It was Sub-Saharan Africa, 3rd fastest growing region for crypto adoption. I'm not even going to read the article here, but I just want you guys to understand the world is moving with crypto just like us, and America for the most part has a pretty stable currency. I don't have a feeling that my currency is going to be devalued by like 50% in the next 2 months or something like that, right? And you're seeing more African countries that are indebted to the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, which is like the mafia, like loan shark of the world, basically, but like established by governments to keep other governments down, which is pretty interesting. You may see countries like Africa, countries in Africa and maybe Latin America really start to make their own cryptocurrencies where they can't just be have massive amounts of inflation. It kind of forces them to be normal. Where America, we can do a bunch of stuff because we have the reserve currency. China has a large economy, Russia has a large economy. They can play those games. Europeans, we can all play those games. Africa, Latin America, they really can't play those games like we can, right? You remember Argentina with their inflation rate? Oh my gosh! Let me just show this to you guys right here. Inflation rate, Argentina. I mean, you want to see a chart that looks crazy? 10 years. I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, they were going high. Now they're going back down because Malay came in and he was like, no spending here, no spending here, no spending here, no spending here. So he's fixing it, but that has consequences. Like, it hurts to fix things. Like, imagine we have to fix Social Security. People are not going to get the money they expect, and that's going to hurt things. But that's the way we have to fix them because we've messed up and waited too long. They, you know, it's crazy how the world is been going lately. But it almost makes me wonder and hope if America can push the stablecoin legislation, the stablecoin, not even these stablecoins across the world. So say, hey, country in Africa A, how about we get rid of your currency and we just use American stablecoins? What about that? How would you feel about that? Right? It's a stable currency. It's not going to go up and down and all that type of stuff. Maybe prices will go up and down compared to the dollar, but it's not going to be crazy like that, which I think could be pretty good. So like in America, a piece of toast may cost 50 cents, but over there, if there's a bread shortage, it may cost $5. But the overall thing is not going to be changing as much, right? So you could still pay like $1, $2 instead of having to pay like, you know, 1,000 in African country currency to get that same value, right? So I'm hoping we can make some moves there, but it's nice to see that over time there are other countries getting involved. It's not just America, China, Europe, and things like that. As far as the overall portfolio and things like that today, the group portfolio is up 2% today. We were up 33% overall, which is very, very nice, I would have to say. Again, we're not at all-time highs for our portfolio, but you can see over the last 90 days since we bought in, it was a rough start. We had that little bit of a dip, higher and higher and higher, maybe even a skyrocketing effect about to happen here. Hopefully. Fartcoin is down 21%, still the worst performer here. I'm hoping it comes back up because I'd like to make some money off of this token, but it's been rough. Maybe it's an altcoin season type of play here, right? And then finally, we have the high risk tokens. This is still down around 5%, not down too bad. You can see where we kind of bought it over here. It's down just a little bit below that, so I'll take it as a win. But overall, you can see there's a lot of red in here. There's some green, don't get me wrong, but above my head, there's a lot of red in there as well. Whereas the group portfolio safe, there's a lot of green besides official Trump and bubble maps. Bubble maps is down 44%, but the position was probably only around $30, so it's not like I'm gonna lose a bunch of sleep over $30, even if it goes down 100%, which I don't think bubble maps will. At least bubble maps is up 5% over the last week. I'll take that as a somewhat victory here, maybe. We'll see. Now, moving over here to Bitcoin and all the technical analysis for the day. I know I talked a little bit about what was going on here with some of this news and inflation and stuff like that. We are still bearish in the MACD, and that has made me be very iffy about going all in and doing anything crazy with Bitcoin right now. I have simply just been dollar cost averaging at a slow pace, not doing too much here, and just waiting to see what happens next. And sometimes I feel like it's okay for me just to wait and then see. We have seen that Bitcoin has basically been able to bounce off the 20-week moving average. It's been a very weird way that it's happened because it didn't break down below it. It closed above it, then opened below it, which is different than actually opening above it and closing below it, right? So we managed to bounce up a little bit, and so far we are making a move that can go a little bit higher. Probably the peak I could see maybe $117,000 to $118,000, $119,000 for this mini rally. Until I see some good CPI data or something else, I would still imagine we're going to come down here for a longer consolidation before making a move probably in later October. So I'm still okay with buying up stuff right now. Maybe we'll be lucky and we'll just start to skyrocket early October, and that'll be all we look for right there, right? Because the rate cut again is going to be happening now. But I wouldn't be surprised if we have to wait till like the second or third week of October before we really start to move towards all-time highs. Yeah, I wish I had better news on the technical front here. On the daily chart, though, we are looking at stronger moves here. The oscillators have all been good for the last few days. If you guys bought to play above the breaking of the moving averages, you're fine. Right now, in the shorter term, we are running into the 50-day moving average. What I like about this is, first of all, this is the level of resistance. So if you guys have been buying anything over here, you have a clear opportunity to sell and make some profit, whether it's 10%, 20%, 30%, 70%, whatever. But if we do have a good CPI report, like we had a great PPI report today, what that does is allows Bitcoin to break above the moving averages, which can get Bitcoin a very strong move. The last time we broke above the 50, right? Again, we didn't stay above it for long, but we managed to have a move that went up around 4% or around $5,000. For Bitcoin, that means we had another 4 or 5% up here. We could get Bitcoin back up above $118,000, which would be absolutely great, which would be a really good opportunity for those of you guys who are day trading and whatnot. And speaking of day trading, if you guys are looking for new exchange, I got the links down below. I'm not going to plug it too much, but if you guys are looking for one, check them out. I'm super excited to see what happens here. On the downward side tomorrow, if things are bad, Bitcoin will probably only go back towards $112,000 to $111,500, which would be bad, but it would just be where we were just yesterday or a couple days ago, basically. So that's not too much of a concern to me. When we are zooming out and looking at altcoins right now, I do see some interesting things. Before altcoins, though, let me just show you guys gold. Gold is still skyrocketing right now. I told you guys a couple weeks ago that we are in a continuation pattern. Watch out for that breakout. Can make you some money. Gold is moving higher. Dow Jones is going sideways. The SPY is hitting all-time highs. The Nasdaq is moving sideways, but still overall doing very, very well, going higher in the medium term and stuff like that. But what's interesting is today the Russell was actually down a little bit despite that data, and this is because if we have a bad jobs market and the economy is getting worse, the Russell suffers a lot. They suffer a lot, even if they have debt and some of that rate cuts help them out. They need to have a strong economy with rate cuts in order to see them going higher. Okay, the dollar index is pretty much flat right now. Oil is pretty much flat right now, which is good. I was a little bit more concerned of what could happen here because we did hear a little bit of news over the weekend, or the last few days, you could say, with drones flying over Poland from Russia. That was the first thing. I was not a fan of that. And the second thing here, which was interesting, was Israel bombed Qatar to kill the Hamas leadership there. I was afraid that could escalate to a wider conflict, and that could lead to oil prices going higher, which could lead inflation to going higher. And remember, oil prices skyrocketed in the month of June. So if you go back over here and you say what happened last year, right? June, oil prices are high, right? Oh, July was kind of spicy right there, right? Go to inflation rate for CPI, go here, right? June, July, not as bad, but we saw earnings constrict a little bit right there. So I'm hoping that CPI stays strong. When we see those oil prices go up like this for June and whatnot, maybe, well, actually, let me show you this way. I was looking for inflation minus energy and food, but I don't think I see that here, so that's okay. Loki wants a treat, so I'm going to give him a treat. You can see him in the corner here as he pops up with your dirty paws. That's how come my shirt keeps on getting all this dirt on it. This is a nice Callaway shirt for golfing. But tomorrow we are expecting 2.9% inflation, which is higher than the 2.7. If it is at 2.8, 2.7, 2.6, we should be able to rocket off into the moon with Bitcoin short term. I don't expect it to be something crazy that does long term. And I hate to say that. But again, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Now, Bitcoin dominance has also been kind of cooling off a little bit here, not finding some strong support that's going to let us bounce or anything like that, right? I will say, however, if we do continue coming down, it will be because, in part, a CPI data was very, very good tomorrow, okay? So watch that pretty closely. You can see that Bitcoin's making some moves over the last few days. This is still Bitcoin dominant, excuse me, right? But if you go over here to Ethereum, Ethereum has been pretty flat. Solana's going higher. That's fantastic. You guys know I own a bunch of Solana. Dogecoin's been going up a little bit higher. Trump's going higher, just not great overall. Melania token, WIF token, okay. But again, you see how, we're nowhere near the highs we were at. A lot of stuff has been coming down quite a bit. But in these scenarios, you have opportunities for those low market caps to have some really crazy moves where you're sitting at home or you're sitting at work, you get an alert saying, oh, my token is at 40%. Damn, I better sell all of it, take that money, and then I'll reapply it a little bit later on, which I think could be pretty interesting there. Now, Baby Doge, everything like that, again, you're going to see pretty similar charts across the board because they are altcoins. But today we have a couple like AVAX having a nice move. We're having a confirmation breakout. We talked about this having a breakout a few weeks ago here because the momentum was still bullish here. The daily was still bullish right here. A few days ago, having that go signal right there with the weekly and that. Although, we had a few times it was bullish over here as well. There's a bearish there, so that told you not to buy. Only one right here. You probably wouldn't buy that. So yeah, you're pretty much getting a buy signal right there. or if you bought right here, you're selling at resistance, which is the more obvious move to do right now. But you're seeing a few things go up a little bit, but not too much. Ocean is up 4.5%. This is an old technical, so ignore this. I think this was for the weekly chart or something like that. Yeah, we're seeing a breakout on the weekly chart. Whether it holds or not, because we have 4 more days, that remains to be seen here, guys. But overall, we're still in a great position. It's just that it's not the great position where you're like, oh my God, we're going up day after day after day. It's like, if you just hold and wait, we're still going to be happy with the results, which is why I show you guys my portfolios over here. So I can show you guys, yeah, I'm going to buy, you know, I decided just a few months ago, I'm going to buy because I still believe Bitcoin overall is great. I still believe even though we're rocky, if you just hold, you're going to be fine. And when you do that, I have some Bitcoin, some Crow, some SEI, some Ethereum, BNB, XRP, more solid names. Even the Dogecoin is a higher market cap meme coin, right? And I added a few fun ones in there like Hyperliquid, Pepe, Official Trump, and Bubble Maps. But Hyperliquid, that's up 41%. Pepe is only up 2%. Official Trump is down 6%, excuse me. Bubble Maps is down 44%. There was a lot of iffiness with just those 4 coins, a lot of volatility, a lot of like, whoa, what's happening right now? Whereas everything else, Solana's up 53, Dogecoin's up 43, BNB's up 38, Ethereum's up 72, SEI's up 78, Crow's up 184, and Bitcoin is just up around 9%. But I have most of my money in Bitcoin, of course, for these positions. I think I can go over here to allocation. Yeah. Now, again, it's the value of where it's gone, but I have $544 in Bitcoin. The next highest one is Crow, which is up almost 200%. That's $194. SEI is only $90. Ethereum is $87 and so forth. Oh, hold on. Logan. 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 There's people walking in the trail back there, and Loki was like fucking barking. And you know, Loki, he doesn't bark too much. Would you like a treat for guarding the house against scary intruders? Okay, but no, go outside for now. All right, sit, stay. All right, sorry about that. He doesn't bark, but there's been like so many more people in my backyard lately, and he's like, "What the fuck are these people doing here? You're encroaching just a little bit too much." And he's like, "Boo, boo, boo!" Like again, Loki doesn't bark. He does not. There has to be somebody he really doesn't like, and whoever it was, he did not like that person. Loki, what you doing? Come back in here. Yeah, you stay your butt in here for a little bit. He's gonna try to sprint out here when I'm not looking. Okay, but now that all that's out of the way here, let's chill, let's talk. Give me a second to go close my door very fast. I'll be right back. Loki, get me a butt back over here. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. All right, sorry about that. I looked. There's cross-country racers over there, and Loki was just not a fan of those people because they're yelling and they're using whistles and stuff, and he don't like that type of noise. Okay, so happy to see her. Ram, Kumar, Villarat, Flyman, King Louis. Oh, that's a good name right there, King Louis. Larry, happy to see you. Wilder, Nicholas, Frogger, and happy to see all of you guys. And Frogger, Wilder, thanks for being members as always. I actually have a members video for you guys coming out tomorrow, and I have a tutorial coming out for you guys tomorrow as well. The tutorial will be on the super trend, and then it'll go live for everybody else, I believe, on Saturday, Saturday. Then I'll have one kind of just coming up as they go, right? So, happy to have you guys in here. Yeah, they're cheering. People like, oh my God, get out of here. Get out of here. It's a freaking Wednesday. Do that on a weekend when I'm not here. And hey, Larry. Yeah, I did see the Charlie Cook thing. I talked about it at the very beginning of the stream. I had it up actually on CNBC here. Where is it at? Oh, it was like breaking news on top for a while. They're not talking about it right now. But yeah, so I basically said if you want, like I watched the video. If you want to watch the video, you can go on X. But like that video is so graphic. If I showed it on YouTube, they would like terminate my channel. So there's no way I'm even doing that right now. But that video was absolutely insane. Normally I would like to go over X with you guys and show you guys some stuff about what's being talked about with Bitcoin. I'm not even doing that because I was looking through the Bitcoin stuff and there was people talking about Charlie Cook. I was like, nope. YouTube, Remember, YouTube is not necessarily a person checking everything before they hide your account or they shadow ban you, stuff like that. It's just an algo. It's just the algo. So if I show something that looks like it, right? Like, remember when the Ukrainians were attacked by Russia that first few days? I showed a stream on X showing like some missiles going off, right? And I was like, that's interesting, because it doesn't look like it's real, right? Because it looked like it was kind of fake, because that doesn't look like Ukraine. That looks like like Georgia or something like that. And it was like a really old footage of something that happened, but people lied about it. But because the post itself was a lie and misinformation, YouTube said I was spreading misinformation. And I was like, I said I didn't believe it. That wasn't enough for them, because it was an algo doing it. So I don't even try to enter into that realm anymore, because YouTube has a censorship level, which I understand, right? They're looking for sponsors and stuff like that. I understand it, completely understand it. Overlords, I'm happy with you. But on X, you can see everything. There's no filter. There's no nothing. Whoa, that was absolutely graphic. They say they have somebody in custody right now. Whether or not it's really the guy, we'll have to wait and see. But I watched that press conference. Oh man, that guy was like, we have the death penalty here in Utah still. And I was like, they're gonna, if he's convicted, it's gonna be crazy. And hey, Frog, I hope you're doing good right now, man. And hey, well, I didn't see any news with AVAX today, not at all. I think it was just like a technical breakout if everything was going higher and AVAX was just at a big level of resistance. So you probably saw some liquidations happening right there from the shorts where they're forced to cover their positions. That's what I'm assuming. But I looked for some news and I just couldn't find anything. There are a few things where it's just like, thank God there was a resistance level, because after that resistance level breaks, you can have a nice pop. That's why I tell you guys, look for those resistance levels all the time, whether it be like just a horizontal line or an order block, if you will, same type of thing. Or if you're looking at something more of a moving average, because when you break above those, you do have some really seismic moves where you can make some trades, especially if you guys are trading leverage. That's why I like when most of you guys trade leverage, and I push it so much, because I'm like, hey, you don't need 20x leverage or 50x leverage or 15 or even 10x leverage. A lot of people can be very happy, successful traders with 3x leverage and 5x leverage, even 2x leverage, right? But again, you have to be profitable in order to get really coming along with leverage. Otherwise, it just makes you lose money at 3x speed, the 4x the speed, 5x the speed, right? But it just depends on how much you're really training, right? Like CT, some of you guys know him in here. He's a moderator. I've met him a few times down in Vegas when I've gone down there for Bitcoin conferences and things like that. He even took me out for some tacos, right? Really great guy. He does leverage now, and he does a lot of high frequency load trading, and like he's killing it right now out there, just because he's found his style, he's found his pattern that really works with him. And then I put my little twinge on it, saying, hey, well, I know it may say sell signal here, but why don't you just look at the momentum on the 15-minute versus the 20-minute chart? What's happening there? It can kind of cut out some of those junk signals that we all kind of get, right? No matter what system we us, me, you, whatever we do, we always have false signals that say false, buy, but it doesn't work out, right? How can you mitigate those so you're still making more money than not, right? And so like a comfortable amount of money. That's what we're all kind of trying to work out here, right? So it's always pretty interesting. That's why I have so many things in my charts, right? Like if I were to go to Bitcoin right now and I go over here to the daily chart, right? Well, I could add a bunch of stuff on here if I really wanted to. Like I could add a Bollinger Band, right? Why does this one look like this? Let me go to EMA. Basis. Oh, sorry. I did not even see that blue line until I made it thicker. Sometimes I am just that blind. So, okay, there we go. We're good. Okay. All right. We're above the basis line right here. We're still doing good. A big level of resistance you can see up here is towards 116,000. We've broken above it before, right? But you go to the EMA right over here. I set it to EMA, didn't I? Yeah, EMA, right? And you make the standard deviation, what's the daily chart? 2.5. I'd probably just leave it at 2, though. 2.5 seems to be working okay here. No, but see, it messed up right there. But that was like 50 there. Even there, that's like 117. Yeah, I'd still probably keep it at 2, just for my own sanity. I'd rather sell too early than not be able to sell at all because I held too long, right? All right. So I could add that on there, and I'm like, okay, well, now I know I have a resistance level pretty much over here, so you guys know I sell too early. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'll have to look somewhere over here between this block for where I want to sell. And if I'm buying right now 113,700 or whatever, and it goes up to this zone, anywhere in the zone, I'm going to be happy to keep on selling. But now that I know that we're up against a moving average here for tomorrow's daily candle, I would probably aim for the higher range of that, just because when we have these breakouts above the moving averages, they can usually be pretty darn violent. Especially the last time we broke above the 50, that was very good. Last time we broke below the 50, also very bad, but a lot of volatility. It was great, right? What's that wizard say in Harry Potter? It was terrifying or something like that, but great, but great. You know, it's okay if Bitcoin moves up a lot. You know, we want to see that. But if you're short, of course, it can go against you in the wrong way. All right. But there's so many little tools you can add on here to try to fix all that. Like, let's go to this. This doesn't have anything on it besides moving averages right now. Like, let me show you something else. Okay, so let's go to Bollinger Bands. Doopa-doopa-doo. Let me make these a little bit thicker. I like how it uses different colors for this one. All right. So this one seems to be not my favorite. Let me try. I think the EMAs were working a little bit better, wasn't it? Yeah, the EMAs were working a little bit better than the SMAs. Okay. Keep the standard deviation at 2. All right. So we have that right now. I can put on smart money concepts if I wanted to, and I can do some of the order blocks and stuff like that. For now, let's not worry about that, right? Next up, I could add just a simple super trend. Right. And then for the super trend for the daily chart, I think we can keep it as this. Maybe add it to 15 if we wanted to. No, that's giving too many signals. Okay, 10 it is. Yeah, high low is probably better than close for now. Okay, so we have that, and you can see we're starting to sell, which kind of mimics what I've been saying again, because the bearish technicals are still there because of the weekly chart. All right, now I'm looking at all that, and then what I can also do is add the Ichimoku cloud. Again, there's like so much shit going on here. Don't try to read into what I'm doing too much here. And I think that's fine for now. All right. So within the system, we're breaking above some levels right here. I think for me, what I'd probably be looking at is, again, you can see this little bit of resistance up here that we were talking about. We're at 117,000. This little block right here. You can see there's other pressure building up right above us as well. And I'd probably still be happy to sell up here. Yeah, I'd probably say that. A better way of showing this to you guys might not be on the daily chart, though. It might be on a 1-hour chart. And that's still fitting with this stuff. Okay, let's go over here. Oh, that's where the Bollinger Band's different colors. I already had Bollinger Bands on this chart. Ha, there you go. And that's still, yeah, it's only, okay, perfect. And I go over here to, did I get rid of it? I think I did. Okay, that's fine. Super trend, I prefer this one, the private one. Okay. You can see the buy chart right there, right? Or below it, or we're above the high point, so kind of a bullish momentum on the top half of this blue line right here for the Bollinger Band. You can buy right here, expecting this to go higher, but me, I'd probably just sell right around here, which again, it does go higher, but if I'm buying right here, I'm already buying at the top of a Bollinger Band. You know, probably better for me would probably to wait for it to die back down a little bit more, find some more support, and then try to ride that wave up towards that level. Yeah, there's some good stuff happening right here, though. Like, just take a look at the super trend here. Again, the super trend is set for a daily chart, so you're going to see a lot more signals happening here. But actually, let me just add this on here. There's a SMA. I don't have any moving averages on here, so let me add one more. Let's make it a 200. Let me make it into a, what's it called? We don't use much here. A hot pink. Make it thick. There we go. You can see we're pretty much hovering above that right now, so you're seeing a lot more bullish action. But that one worked out pretty well with the momentum. This one didn't work out too well. This one worked out pretty well. Let's see. Oh, you wouldn't even have taken that one though, because this is a resistance level. I wasn't even zoomed out large enough. Yeah. This one was fine. This one right here didn't work out too well. Well, you're not buying it because it's below the 200 here anyway. You're not buying that one either. This one worked out, but it was kind of so volatile. You're not buying that one. You got to wait for us to get back above. No, no, no. Damn, we've been kind of bearish for a minute here. Okay, now let's get back above it. Okay, that one worked out a little bit better. That one worked out a little bit better. This one you're not doing it, but it worked out okay. Not doing that one. This one, ooh, that one could have worked out a little bit too, but it hit resistance right there. Yeah. I don't like that one on the 1 hour chart as much as I thought I would. But that's fine. But yeah, I mean, there's so many little setups you can do here, but you just have to find the one that pattern that you like the most, and you can make some money off of it. But I'm breaking that down here a little bit later on anyway. Tonight I'll be doing the I'll save it to tomorrow. I'm kind of tired. I'll make that video in the morning and publish it for members a little bit later on. Members, you guys are gonna have 2 videos tomorrow. One really breaking down the inflation in deeper detail, and then my personal thoughts about it. And then you're gonna have this to look at as well if you want to. Okay, let's go back over here. Let's go to Luxor goes right there. Let's go to moving averages, and I think we should be fine for that for now. There we go. Yeah, that's fine for now. Let me just get rid of these lines here. And get rid of the MACD. There we go. Just so we can see Bitcoin go up a little bit more here. And hey, Jamrock, happy to see you. Same with you, Frog. And I know I said that already, but thank you. And hey, Pootler, it can easily push another 4.2% before the next big bear dips. Yeah, we can definitely go higher. We can definitely go higher. Like last time I said we had that big move above the 50-day moving average. We popped up around 4 or 5%. We can definitely do that. My thing is just like, I'm selling that. I'm not buying into that, right? That's my goal for right now. And hey, Matt, it's happy to see you. Riptraw, I know that was crazy. This is why most people don't go out there and do those types of events. It is very, very, very risky. A lot of unstable, crazy people out there, and that guy's probably gonna have the death penalty if he's tried and convicted. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a crazy time. Things are gonna get heated in this country. I mean, they've already been heated, but like, I don't go to political events. I don't go do any of that type of stuff. I do my life. I chill. I make my money. I'm happy. Right? This is why I haven't like tried to become too much of a prominent cryptocurrency influencer in the way where I am famous. Like I want to be like a person that's known, but for education. I don't want to be a person that's known for being very divisive or divisive, whatever you want to call it. I'm divisive only in my disagreements with the Fed usually, and politicians when it comes to their what would you call it, their policies in regards to cryptocurrency. And that's not usually a heated and very passionate type of conversation, right? I'm like, Fed, you are messing up, but I'm not like down with Jerome Powell. I'll leave that to the partisans out there. But that's also why I'm making that website right now. Now, this website is going to take some time. I already know that. I'm trying to rush it, but you just can't rush perfection. This website is going to be amazing, guys. So, I'm going to have like a full glossary of all the terms that, for crypto. I'm going to have tools in there. So like, hey, let me find the fees for every exchange. So if you do like a $100 position with 20x leverage, how much fees are you going to pay? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can actually have a visualization of how much you're going to spend in fees for the type of trading that you do. Wouldn't that be awesome? So I'm trying to make this like as practical as I can, as useful as I can. I'm going to have articles up there that I think are important. I'm going to have a newsletter that comes out every I want to say every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for now. Maybe it'll eventually be daily. And then I'll have a premium one that people pay for that comes out Saturday. And I'm going to use that money to kind of reinvest into the website and grow it more and more and more. And there's going to be like the top exchanges, what are the best trading strategies out there? Why are people trading? I'll like, what is AVAX? What is Bitcoin? What is the blockchain? Like, why do people like? Why should you know this stuff? What is it doing to the world? It's not going to just be a definition like on Investopedia. It's like, what is the blockchain? But why is the blockchain necessary? Right? So like, it's going to be so in depth, and I'm hoping I can open up people's eyes about why they should be involved in it, even if they don't want to own Bitcoin. I mean, cool, fine, that's okay. But why they should know what the blockchain is, why they should know about all these things. And then I think what I'm going to do is also make a website down the road on this about what is AI and everything related to AI. That is going to be a lot more of a challenge, but I think that's something I could really do down the road here, which would be pretty darn fun. But that's not until 2027 at this point, right? So we'll see how it goes. And hey, Gigi Hunter, happy to see you. It's been an interesting day, I'll tell you that. My personal day has been absolutely fantastic. I've been playing outside with Loki all day. It's been very, very fun. On social media, it's like a crazy world right now, right? It's crazy. Cospa, what's up with that? Do I have any of that in my portfolio? I do have Cospa in my portfolio. I am still down on Cospa. I don't know if it's done anything today. I don't even know if it's on my watch list right now. I think I used to have it, but I'm not entirely sure. It's still consolidating. It's still overall bullish, which is nice. It can swing to bearish here pretty soon, which would be kind of scary because it would actually probably break down below this. No, it probably wouldn't, just because we're still looking for those rate cuts here, but it could probably get as low as like 7 cents or something like that. But I would actually still be accumulating this right now. My average is actually pretty high on this one. I didn't buy like way back over here in 2023 and stuff like that. I got into this a little bit late, so I bought kind of around here. I was hoping we might hold some support back then, even though the bearish technicals. I was like, let me start buying in, and I just never really did much dollar cost averaging into it afterwards. So I'm still kind of low on this one. There's been a couple times where I've been profitable, but I didn't sell, so I'm losing money. But what you're seeing here is actually a nice little trend with this moving average is about to have a golden cross here pretty soon. Last golden cross we had was never, so we can imagine what's going to happen there. But right now we're still looking okay. To me, this is a dollar cost average, but not really go too heavy into it. I'm going to wait to see what happens next. But the market cap on Cospa is not something that's necessarily crazy from last time I remember. Yeah, it's $2 billion. That's not too bad right there. And it's up 2.5% today. It's fine. It's just doing a nothing. It's just been consolidating. I haven't really checked into this too much unless you guys ask me, because again, whenever I think about it, it's like, damn, isn't that thing just going sideways? It's doing nothing. Nothing. Same price we were back over in July, which is the same price we were back in June, which is the same price we were back in April, same price we were back over here in March. It's been nothing but sideways action. We've had some choppiness, sure, but like, it hasn't been anything crazy, and I think that's okay. That's perfectly fine, right? But yeah, Cospa is something I own. I still think it can do well, because if you go over to Cospa, right, they're building something. They're not informational. They're infrastructure, right? When you see the infrastructure, it makes me very, 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 very happy. They're still being built. They're innovating. I check on their X account every now and again. Not really, but like here, X Twitter. I know they'll always post. See, Charlie Kirk. Their link isn't taking them to. There you go. Right, they just posted 9 hours ago. Double check spelling 9 hours ago. Right, they still got people looking at them and stuff like that. Transaction volumes, Visa versus Casper. Like again, they're still doing just fine, and they're better than a lot of other people out there. Maybe not the best, but they're still doing great things here, and that means to me that I want to hold it for a long time. So this is in my long-term portfolio list, but for the cycle, whatever that big breaker ends up being, I'm selling that, whatever it is. Because again, I don't have a terrible average. I just don't have a good average. there is a difference. There is a little bit of a difference right there. There we go. Put this back to 15 and chill out over here very fast. There we go. All right. You're a wizard, Harry. I know, right? I feel like a wizard when I'm writing about technical analysis. And again, I have an ego. I've been pretty frank with you guys about that. I'm not like an asshole about my ego, but I like to gloat a little bit. And that's why I'm like, see, I knew the Fed was wrong. I knew the Fed was wrong. They kept on saying the economy and the jobs was good. I was like, it doesn't look great. It doesn't feel great. And I'm looking at like ADP numbers, some of the other numbers that come from the different companies out there. I'm like, I kind of trust private companies over a really messed up bureaucracy right now, right? Because again, you can love or hate Trump, but you know he was firing a bunch of people out of the bureaucracies just not a few months ago. How are we going to trust those numbers, right? And again, I'm not saying there's anything malicious going on over there. I'm just saying I'd prefer to trust the private company data coming out over the government's. And, even before that, I still trust the private company's data over the government's. So if you make the government more kind of choppy and whatnot from firing people, there's a lot of politics in the bureaucracy right now because people hate that Trump fired their friends and shit like that. Like, I don't care about none of that. I just want to have the data. And again, I'm happy that the Fed is like, oh, the jobs numbers weren't actually that good. Oh, we have to revise the job numbers down to 911,000. Like, bankers and those types of people do not live in the human world like we live in, right? Where like we have to budget, we have to do this and that, right? They're in a whole different type of ballpark, right? Now, they may not be like bajillionaires, but they're pretty well off. And when you're pretty well off, you don't necessarily think about your friend who just got laid off or something like that, right? It doesn't happen as much. So they don't think about it. And because they don't think about it, it doesn't influence their decision-making process, which is why I think you've seen so many people on the Trump side, the MAGA side, those MAGA people have to go out there and talk to people a lot. And then they're like, okay, well, why don't you want this? Why don't you want that? Very, very vocal. So they kind of hear. You don't really see that from the Democratic ones as much. And that's because, to be frank, there is that's the progressive side. Remember, you got the MAGA wing. That's the very conservative side of the Republican Party. They're like the base. They're the grassroots. The grassroots of the Democratic Party is progressive. But Democrats have been pretty forceful saying, yeah, we don't want to be associated with you just yet. So they ignore that, but that's just like the concerns and the aggravations of their base, right? Like, I find, like, I'm a conservative, right? I have friends across the spectrum, but my best friends are either very progressive or very conservative. I don't really have friends that are too moderate, and I don't know why that is per se. But like when it comes to like politics, I know a lot of Trumpers that support a lot of things that progressives do. I know a lot of progressives like things that Trump does, but they just won't admit it, right? They're like, fuck Trump, he's a horrible person, because Trump can be. He's like yells in the ex-childish lot, right? So it's very weird, but like I can be like, I'd still rather have Trump over Biden. Yeah, my portfolio would really prefer to be going up right now. Yeah, I kind of want to go down that way because I have assets. I'm going to be going down that road. Just a weird time we're living in here. Weird times. But you know what? Having money makes it not as bad. All right. So that's why I'm like, hey guys, get your money together. We'll get your wealth up. Do some day trading. Do some swing trading. Get on an exchange. Do some long-term investing. Whatever it takes. But get your assets working, because right now the market is just helping the rich get richer. And while no means am I like super uber rich, it is making me more wealthy. Right. And that's why I'm kind of doing it. Ooh, excuse me. Dogecoin 24 cents. You heard this one big institution buying 5% of Dogecoin. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm looking at that. Yeah, let's go to yeah. There's definitely going to be more of the sucker because they've been allowed to do it. If the SEC and the FOC, I'm thinking of FOMC, but that's something. But let me just say, if the SEC is not coming after people, they're going to do it. What was happening was these people wanted to do this a long time ago, but the government was like, you do it, we're going to sue your ass, and we're going to give you a Wells notice. So they were like, cool, I ain't going to do that. So they're changing it up a little bit. Oh, I didn't smoke a cigar with you guys tonight. I'll do that tomorrow with the CPI data. I'll do that tomorrow with you guys with CPI data. But yeah. And hey, so Secret Fish, I do not know what happened. Secret Fish was on a number of YouTube channels, mine being one of them, of course, and just kind of disappeared over all of them. I've talked with a few people. We have no idea You know, like I used to talk with Secret Fish on Discord and stuff, but stopped answering messages, a bunch of stuff. I had a disagreement with Secret Fish. I remember about something. I don't recall what it was, but he was offended that I said something, or she was. I don't. It could be a woman or a man, but they were offended of what I was saying. So I was just like, okay. And so yeah, but they didn't. They left a lot of other channels as well. So I just don't know where that person went. Robinhood stock went crazy. Are you rich now? No, I mean I've been selling off Robinhood for a while, but I bought Robinhood like at $8, $10, like a long time ago. Because I was like, it's gonna get better over time. I was just like, it's gonna take time, so you gotta kind of hold it in there. But I've always liked Robinhood over Coinbase because Robinhood has way more ways for people to trade, right? Which has been pretty interesting. So I have an option that on IoT that's down about 96%, expiring 9/19. I'm wondering what will happen with it with the rate cut. Do you think it will go up? Delta. If it's down 96% with the rate cut, it's probably not going to move too much higher. And that's primarily because it expires this Friday and the rate cut is happening sorry, next Friday, and the rate cut is happening next Wednesday. If it's still like 99% chance, there's little chance that it's going to make a big move. Um, Now, if you're only out of the money like 2-3% or something like that on your position, then it makes sense. But when I've had positions like that, which I've had plenty that have been 97% or so, I just hold it until a few minutes before the end of market on the expiration date, and I sell it for whatever it's worth, and I get my little pennies back for it. It may just be pennies, but that's typically what I do. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know that how far, what's your break even price and stuff like that. But I would say just hold it. That can usually be a pretty good thing. CPI cigar producer index. I do. I mean, I do have a cigar right here, but I'm almost done with the stream here. I got to go out in a little bit. I got these little Churchills. I'll smoke one of these with you guys. They're this little can of 5 is like $40 so I'm not buying them again. But they're very good. They're very very good. They're one of my favorite cigars. They just happen to be extremely expensive. So what I've been doing is I've been going over to Cigar Page and Cigar Bit and buying up cigars over there, which has been very nice. Or going to see out of the shop because they support my channel, so I get discounts up there. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I've been trying to be secret. I've been trying to get cheaper stocks. Maybe Secret Fish strike it rich. Maybe he retired now. So I don't know if Secret Fish is a man or a woman. I just assume a man, but I don't know. Um, I already assumed Secret Fish already had a lot of money because they would donate $500 a pop on my streams. So I think that person is already set for life. They're good. They've made it. They must have worked very hard for the money. They're very very good, right? So like they're fantastic. Man, my dog knocked me out today. Oh, dude, that sucks. I've been there. Right now, Loki's pouting on the side because he can't go bark at kids running on the track. He's all covered in dirt and shit right now too. And so, just a quick curious question: of all your crypto, which one are you the most bullish on? Meaning, which one do you think will make you the biggest gains? Um, Percentage wise, these are probably not what you think I'm probably gonna say, but I kind of think of them as very high risk, high reward. So there's like a lot of risk associated with them. But one would be Miro, which is a altcoin, right? Meme coin. One would be Turbo, which is another meme coin. And then the one I think I'm most excited about is WTX token, which is the week's exchange token. Um, and that's primarily because I made so much money from the BitGet token, where I was just super excited about it. And I think what made the BGB, like the BitGet token, so exciting for me was it was going up during a bear market, which is not normal. So this is why I've been telling you guys I like exchange tokens, and I've been buying up a lot of them over the years. So like again, like is when they come out, I buy a little bit, like $100, $200 worth, and I just kind of sit on them. Like here's OKB, right? Here's the monthly chart, right? 2019 nastiness, right? Going higher and higher and higher. This was 2022 didn't have a crazy drop off, right? Like Bitcoin, woo, Ethereum, woo, you know, Ethereum, woo, you know. Now you also got WXT. That's what I've been buying up lately. This is the week's token. That's too new. Well, still, it's relatively new anyway, but it's reaching all-time highs right now. Like literally as we speak, I'm making money off of this token, right? Which is very, very nice. And the market cap for this thing is 162 million. Up. Oh, I don't know. This thing is kind of broken right now, so maybe actually be higher than that. But yeah, I mean, like literally, I'll probably buy some more today. Let me see a little bit of a weeks my exchange. Yep, it's up 3.8482%. And now it goes down and stuff like that. That's true. Right. Let me see. Yeah, but it's just going higher, which is fantastic. I like it. But then you also got BGB over here. So this is what I'm hoping. Like I'm hoping weeks turns into BGB, right? Because we bought this back on my birthday, like way back over here. Over here, right? Back around 16, 17 cents. September. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And I sold it over here, right? Around $7, which is pretty close to the top. But guess what? This thing will probably end up going to $12, $15, $17. I just needed some funds at the time, honestly. Sister in college, all that type of stuff. And I was like, you know what? Oh, and also at the same time, remember this rally has been kind of iffy. It's been kind of like up, down, sideways. I didn't like that. And this is something where I have been holding it for a while. So September, I literally bought it like I think 2 days before my birthday. 16.6, $7 around there. That's like 4,000% profit for like 3 years, 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. All right. So I'm a big fan of exchange tokens. So that's why I'm always trying to see if the exchange says tokens. That's why I go over here to exchanges. Okay, XBitGet, MEXC. I don't know. Does MEXC have a token? I don't remember if they did. I don't have their token if they do it. MEXC, crypto exchange. I know it's not a lot of my region. Spot. Oh, they do have a token. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to this one at all. Let's see. Maybe I should add some of this. Okay. Fuck. Stop. It's trying to spam me something, and my computer's like, no. Okay. Here we go. 1 week, 1 month chart. This thing's been working out fine. Oh, this thing's actually down really great, so you could actually be buying up some stuff here. But you see when you buy really down low, like this is like WXT token way down here, right? Volatile, but man, they're the easiest ways I found to make money yet. They are the easiest ones I found to make money yet. But I don't usually push them because that's kind of the same as pushing an exchange. Right, but there's MX token, right? You go over here to MX token. I've been waiting for BYDeFi. I've been asking the team, they're like, oh, the market conditions aren't right. BYDeFi wants to push it in an all-time high, and I'm like, don't do that. Fuck it. Like, I need to buy it cheap. You know, the market cap for this token is 248. Oh yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna buy some of that, right? So again, yeah, so I'll buy some of this if I can find it because I don't have access to MEXC. It might be on another exchange, just like Week's token is on MEXC, right? Yeah, so those are kind of the things that I like. But exchange tokens, I say every now and again, but exchange tokens, they're my jam. Again, it's a business model. They're giving you something for it. They, you know, when you hold their tokens, you get a lot of change. I mean, you get cheaper fees. Crow token bought a bunch of that too. and boom, all of a sudden it's skyrocketing. Now, I'm not going to tell you I knew exactly when Crow was going to skyrocket. I just knew that every cycle people buy up that token because it gives you a lot of benefits, lower fees, and stuff like that. And again, exchange tokens, they're one of my favorite things. BGB taught me that a long time ago. Like, hey, exchange tokens, you can really get a good sized portfolio out of that if you want to. And hey, bullshit, happy to see my man. Fidelity adding more crypto. About time. About freaking time. Why did PPI come out before CPI this month? Dude, I have no freaking idea. I was very confused when I saw that on the chart as well. I'm like, the heck is that? But yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I'm just happy they're all coming out because this is like the last big week before we have rate cuts and stuff. And then we're like kind of off to the races in October, hopefully. Maybe a little consolidation, but we're off to the races generally in October. What do you think of Soon? I think it's a good long-term hold if you want to play the cycle. So right now, maybe another 5-6 months. But it's something I'd definitely be looking for selling when we start hitting all-time highs and hit records and stuff. I don't plan on holding it through a bear market. Swift FCC coin, what about it? What do I think about Popcat? High risk token, high reward. I own some of it myself, just not a lot. I think I have like $100 worth, $200 worth. I'm hoping it can make me some good money because the market cap isn't necessarily crazy high, is it? You know. Hey, King Louis. Oh yeah, dude, exchange tokens. I love them with a passion. I really do. It's just that again, not all of them have exchange tokens. Like Gate, I don't even know if Gate. So again, so many of these exchanges that we're talking about, they're not even available in my state or my country. So I don't particularly look for Gate. I look for the smaller ones that are all over, like the Weeks, the BYDFIs, the Blowfins, and stuff like that. And I don't think Blowfin has a token either. Why? Okay, they won't let me just get into it. Okay, that spot. Can't click on this. No. There we go. Yeah, I broke it. Okay. Oh, so okay. I can't even look at the exchange without me. Okay, so okay. And then we got L Bank. I don't think L Bank has it either. Richard, I know. Let's hurry up and get this before the Richard area. Bitcoin, no, I'd be on the top. Stretch, L Dog. Nope. Useless. Nope. Okay, yeah. So not that one. Why am I thinking when it's all right here? Crypto.com, HTX, KuCoin, you know, Gate, BingX, Kraken, Bitstamp, right? KSEX might have one. KSEX doesn't really have high fees though, so I don't know. There's Weeks right there. ZoomX may have one. I haven't worked with ZoomX in a while. I think I worked with ZoomX for all of a month before they were kicked out of the USA. Oh, maybe I'm okay here. Okay, cool. Nope, I don't see ZoomX on here at all. So yeah, so it's a little bit different. What I do like about some of these, like, you know, talk about Weeks, like, you know, I work with Weeks, I work with BYDFi, stuff like that, but they have these things called We Launch. So basically by holding tokens, right, you get access to these things. Like this is hello. Wait. Yeah, sorry, hello. You know, total price, hello, commit WTX, I commit some of this, I'll get some free of this. And if it makes anything of itself, I get some money out of it. If it just turns into nothing, who cares? They've had over 144. Most of these things don't turn into anything because in order to get on exchange, you're usually selling something. You have to buy your way into an exchange, right? So, like, you see all these. I'm going to put it over to the side. I'm going to get rid of all this other stuff except for the technicals. And I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to go like here. So this is the first one. What happened to this token? Uniswap. It's done nothing. Not terrible, actually. Just did nothing. Maybe during an altcoin season it can do something better. Capverse. Went down, but not bad. So if you're just holding, like I'm holding all these tokens, right? Now maybe only like $5, $10, $20. But again, if it's low market cap and it explodes, that could turn into a few $100 to a few $1,000. And I didn't have to do anything for it. Now, will that happen? I don't know. I've never done this before. You know, I wasn't doing this stuff back in 2019, 2020, 2021. Midas. minus the Minotaur. Yeah, that is it right there. Daily chart. It's done nothing. Hasn't crashed. Noodle. Yeah, that one hasn't worked out too well. This might not be the same noodle. No, it is the same noodle. I see the logo. So this one hasn't been good. They must have just came onto the exchange very, very late. Enough to short it. And I'll do this the last one. Yuri coin. Yeah. I had some spikes. Could be interesting. Okay. So, and it's free tokens. Should be pretty nice. Let me see. Oh, my friend says he's going out tonight. Am I coming out tonight? I am coming out tonight. Let me buy some more WTX here. There you go. Buy another $50 worth of it. But yeah, I don't know. I like it for all those reasons. And again, every exchange has something similar. You're gonna have like a launching platform on them, because in order to get an exchange, these tokens have to pay like $5,000, $10,000. Some like Binance, I think it's like $100,000, right? You got to pay to get on the exchange, but then they drive it up by saying, "Hey, everybody, get ready for this, get ready for this," and they start trading. And as long as the exchange sees you guys trading, they're happy. They don't care if you short or go long. They just want you to trade with leverage because that's how they make their fees, right? So they hype everybody up, they get you trading, and that's what I'm saying. If you guys want to trade, go for it. Just be safe because the system is designed to make you trade. That's why I'm always saying I'm not the influence that says buy, or sell, sell. Like, I'm like, hey guys, we're choppy right now. The market's a little bit bearish. I know it could be better, but let's just chill. And if you're looking for something to day trade, don't trade Bitcoin today. Go trade something that's like moving a little bit better. And you guys don't need high, because that way you guys don't need high leverage in order to trade. If you guys do a lot of money with low leverage, you're not paying as many fees as low money with high leverage. So a little bit different way of thinking about it. Your prediction for Bitcoin on the short to midterm, waiting for a dip or DCA? I'm waiting for a dip over the next few weeks or so. Then I think we're going to move higher off of that dip, and we're not going to see these lows for a minute. But yeah, it's just definitely going to take some time. That's presuming we have some good CPI data, though. And I really do hope we have some good CPI data. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm still overall bullish. I mean, there's a reason I'm still holding all my assets. I haven't sold the Bitcoin and stuff like that. Like, I've been selling my cycle Bitcoin up a little bit. Sure, I've been selling that, but I haven't been going too crazy with it. But okay, everybody, I'm gonna end the stream right here. I gotta get ready to go. You guys can't tell I'm in a nice polo, but I'm wearing shorts and flip flops right now, because I've been outside with Loki all day and he's been getting dirty. I will let you guys see Loki one more time. I enjoyed talking with you guys today, dude. When we're vibing, we're vibing. So I think what I gotta do is this. I'm gonna do my spiel about all the news and everything I think is important for the day. I'm gonna go through technical analysis. Then after that, I go talk with you because by then everybody's coming and they said something. So when I reply, the replies keep on coming in and it kind of circles, and we're doing good. Now that seems kind of weird that I'm explaining this stuff to you guys, but I like being able to tell you guys where my head's at and this type of stuff. So here is a mint cookie for Loki, or a doggy version of mint. You can see he's like salivating over it. Would you like this cookie? Can you sit for me? Okay. Thank you. All right. Oh. Now we're gonna go outside. You're not gonna bark. Okay. Okay. Here you go. And off he goes. You can't see him, but he's literally just right here, wagging his tail, getting butt scratches. See? Woo! Yeah. Yeah. Good boy. All right. See you guys a little bit later, and thank you guys so much.